The Canada is broken influencers have a problem. A big one. The International Monetary Fund, the world's top financial watchdog, just published a report that should make every doom peddler quietly delete their content. Canada's fiscal position? The IMF calls it the cleanest dirty shirt in the entire advanced economy club, and it gets worse for them. Welcome back. We just told you the IMF called Canada the cleanest dirty shirt in the G7. But what does that actually mean for the debt crisis story you've been sold? And what happens when you pull every number they're hoping you never look up? Stay with us, because this one is genuinely embarrassing for them. The doom crowd's favorite bedtime story is that Canada's debt is spiraling out of control. You hear it every day. It's basically their whole personality. And the IMF just crumpled that story up and threw it in the recycling. Canada's net debt to GDP ratio? 43%. Sounds scary, right? Here's the problem with that. 43% is literally the strongest fiscal position in the entire G7. The United States? Over 100%. The United Kingdom? Around 95%. Japan's number is so high that it needs its own calculator. France and Italy are way higher too. Compared to every country we actually compete with, Canada isn't just keeping up. We're in first place. By a lot. But here's what they need you to never do. They need you to never look at the scoreboard. Because the broken Canada story only works if you judge Canada against some imaginary, perfect, debt-free utopia, not against the actual countries we compete with. Stick around. Because the inflation argument is even worse. We'll get there. This is the oldest trick in the disinformation playbook. Scream about the big, scary debt number and pray that nobody asks about the size of the economy behind it. It's like panicking that someone has $1 million mortgage, but forgetting to mention they make $5 million a year. The ratio is what matters. And that's exactly where their story implodes. Before we gut the inflation argument, and we absolutely will, if you want this kind of analysis delivered straight to your inbox every week, head to thesanity.org and sign up for our newsletter. No rage bait, no outrage algorithms. Just the numbers, the context, and the receipts. Okay, let's keep going. So, the next parrot claim. Government deficits are directly fueling inflation. Every dollar spent is money being printed and making your groceries more expensive. It's a core political attack line. And here's where it gets interesting. The IMF didn't just ignore that argument. They torpedoed it, explicitly. The report states, if you have fiscal space, it's the time to use it. Here's the distinction they need you to miss. Not all government spending is equal. Spending that just pumps up demand? Yes, that can be inflationary. But spending that builds future supply, energy grids, transit, manufacturing capacity, that's using fiscal space to solve problems. The IMF specifically praises Canada's capital expenditure policies. They call them competitive internationally. But hold on. Because the IMF report isn't a love letter. And this is actually the part that should impress you most. A credible analysis doesn't just cheerlead, it flags the risks too. And there is a real risk in Canada's fiscal picture. We'll get to that right now. The IMF report clearly notes that provincial debt burdens are a rising risk and require more discipline. This is the nuance the outrage machine always strips out. A sober, honest assessment says the federal fiscal picture is strong, but provincial coordination is crucial. That's not cheerleading. That's balance. And balance is exactly what makes this report credible. And here's the real kicker. The IMF assessment isn't standing alone. Canada has maintained its AAA credit rating from major agencies like Moody's. These are the people whose entire job is to assess the risk of not getting paid back. They agree with the IMF's core assessment. So we're not talking about one opinion, we're talking about consensus. If you're listening to this on the podcast, do us a favor. Hit subscribe. It's the single best way to make sure you never miss an episode, and it genuinely helps us reach more Canadians who are tired of the noise. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen, we're there. Subscribe now. So what does this IMF report actually prove? It proves the Canada is broken narrative isn't a policy critique. It's a psychological operation. Its power relies entirely on you never looking up from the scary number to see the global scoreboard. The data is clear, and it's genuinely embarrassing for anyone still selling total collapse. It turns out the cleanest dirty shirt in the G7 is actually pretty clean. So, which parrot claim fell apart the fastest for you? The debt spiral that wasn't? Or the inflationary deficit that got a thumbs up from the IMF? Let me know in the comments. And follow for more fact checks that cut through the noise.
If you want more facts and less fear, hit subscribe. Check out the next breakdown wherever you're listening or watching. Stay sane, Canada.